Welcome to the Get Offset podcast. My name is Emily.
And my name is Andrew.
And I am significantly more chipper than Andrew thought I would be this morning.
You are.
Yes. Let's pour one out for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was a hero of mine growing up, and now I am sad and scared, but she wouldn't want me to be sad and scared. She would want me to keep fighting.
Absolutely.
Yes.
One of the few patriots left in the U.S. government, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think that we just have to keep our hopes up and stay positive and yet critical, and vote as soon as humanly possible.
To quote Patagonia, which is the quote that they're putting on the inside of their jackets now, is "Vote the assholes out."
Yes, let's do that.
So, yeah.
I can get behind that.
I love the quote, but I also think it's funny that it's now inside of Patagonia jackets.
Yeah. You think that they're just like chill, vibey hippies, but they are not. They don't play.
They're like slightly less chill, vibey hippies.
Just slightly less chill. Who are the chillest vibey hippies? Like even Ben and Jerry's is like really political and not all super duper.
I think it's a misnomer that hippie, like the chillness of hippies. I don't know, like
they weren't chill. I think you're right.
They're the ones protesting Vietnam. So
you're right.
I think there's a lesson to be learned there. Is we can be hippies, and still,
just for one day.
Yeah. So
I just got a cool notification that a new pedal from Native Audio is out for delivery right now to my home.
Ooh. Well, that's pretty exciting.
Yes. I'll have to.
Which one?
Well, I don't want to spoil any surprises. So just subscribe to the demo channel and watch it, I guess, when I do that. But I have to completely reformat my demo recording space, because I kind of go if I'm demoing a guitar, then I'm just gonna do a bunch of guitar videos at once, so I don't have to constantly change the camera tripod to be the overhead view and just changing things. So I have at least two more guitar videos I want to film, and then I guess I'll reset things up for my pedals, because I do have quite a lot of new pedals that I'm kind of falling behind. I got 4 new arcade chips for the Cooper Effects arcades. The synth, reverse, generation loss, and grain. You can hear them.
That's chips. I like chips.
Yeah.
Microchips.
Basically SD cards.
Not small potato chips.
No, I'm not. I don't like potato chips.
Really? Hold up.
Yeah, really. I don't like potato chips. I especially don't like the flavored potato chips. The smell of them makes me really nauseated.
I suppose that's not a hill I'm willing to die on. I'll find something else to make fun of you for later.
I like most crispy potato products, but I don't know. I don't like salty snacks in general sometimes. I like tortilla chips with salsa or guac, but I feel like potato chips, with few exceptions, you tend to eat dry.
Yep.
Yeah. I guess you could get a dip, but you'd have to have such a robust potato chip.
Ruffles. Ruffles have ridges.
Yeah, that's their advertising slogan, isn't it?
That is true, and they're great for a sour cream and onion dip.
That's something else I never really got into.
You get the sour cream and onion powder and dump that into a tub of sour cream, or Lipton onion soup.
You're literally just eating flavored sour cream?
Yeah, that's a dip.
Man, that's I'm so aggressively Midwestern, and I'm like, no, thank you.
I'm not sure what that has to do with being Midwestern, but moving
Oh,
on.
Midwesterners. Well, if you were a Midwesterner, you would know Midwesterners love their dips. We love them.
So, on a brief note, I would like to make this my formal recommendation that we change uh, RGB to RBG in graphic design. I think I don't see any reason why we couldn't swap those two letters permanently.
So red, green, blue versus red, blue, green.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's. I think that would be fine. I kind of wish there's a way for me to like easily change that in Adobe Illustrator.
In your
Well,
own personal settings.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is. What's new with you other than, I guess we can finally breathe the air outside in Seattle, so that feels pretty new.
Well, we can mostly breathe it. The AQI is still over 100, so
What? No, it's not.
it was yesterday in my neighborhood.
Oh,
And
no, no, no. It's dipped to like 15 overnight.
oh, okay. I'm checking now because that would be really nice news because I'd like to go for like a very nice walk later.
Yeah, no, it's everyone in Seattle is throwing open their windows right now.
Oh my God, you're right.
I know I'm right. Don't act so surprised.
It's the the station that I've been looking at for the last few couple weeks peaked out at like somewhere around like right over 500. Yesterday was showing like 130 and now it's 3.
Yeah. Rain.
I'm throwing the windows open.
I'm gonna go for a run. I haven't
I
run in like 2 weeks because it would have been suicide.
yeah. Oh man. Well, that's happy news to wake up to. Offset
Yeah.
the sadness in life right now.
I think it just didn't help that I don't think people who haven't like been in environments where their air is unbreathable for multiple days like quite understand that it triggers within bodies like almost a fight or flight kind of reaction because if you're around smoke like your body wants you to leave the smoky area. So it's really bad for things like general malaise and anxiety. So like I've just been on edge for weeks. Like it's been really miserable. And like you can tell like the cats and the small animals, they haven't been like Carrie's not been acting like herself at all.
I think the weirdest thing for me through all of this, which like I'm not a stranger to smoke and fire. Like I've lived in California for uh, over half my life,
You lived in
and
California? I have never heard you say that.
I know. Like when I was I remember I was a sophomore in high school, and there was a fire that, like, I was at school and a fire broke out a couple miles from my house and got within a mile, before getting contained on one end. It wasn't anything huge, but I was like, I remember like walking out in between class periods and be like, what is that in the sky? Like
Oof.
I'm used to like ash and fire, and that is how it is. And but it's usually only you don't even if the fire happens like in your little city, it's only the ash is only around for a couple of days and then you move on. Two
Right.
weeks though is very different, and
Yeah.
yeah. But what's excuse me, woo, what's
You gotta get it out. You gotta get it out. It's been in there for a long time.
I know. No, but for I have been coughing up a lot of phlegm the last couple, like way more than normal. And I swear my
Yeah.
body's like, nope, get that out of there.
Yes. Evacuate.
I just got 3 volume medals in the mail.
What? Why? I mean, I know why, but that like out of context is like
Yeah, I want to control the volume at 8 different points in my signal chain. Uh,
You have to have one before dirt, and you have to have one after dirt, and you have to have one after your modulation and reverb so you can cut off the reverb trails when you need to.
I think that officially puts me at 6 volume pedals in house right now.
Oh, jeez. That's got to
Seven,
be a
seven.
record.
That's 7. I have 7. I just turned around and realized I missed one. I didn't forget you, baby. So I've got 7 volume pedals now. Got 3 of them. 2 of them are brand new additions, like I haven't had before. So I'll be able to support new templates. And that's a Goodrich, which is a classic. And the
Yes.
other one is a Boss FV500H. The third one I got is my second VP Junior. And I think the plan for that is to safely remove the electronics and to put a topper on there and put the topped enclosure through some stress tests on camera. Put together a short video to show the durability.
What are you going to do? Run it over with a car?
No, not gonna run it over. Like I want the pedal back when I'm done with it. Because I had previously thought about like maybe I could just throw it in the oven to simulate like being in a hot car, but my oven only gets down to 200, and hot
I
cars do not get
mean,
to 200.
yeah, I think they might.
I think MythBusters did. I remember MythBusters did something on it, and I think they only clocked like 130, 140. So,
Huh. Um,
um,
I'm just seeing a locked vehicle. The dashboard, steering wheel, or seat can reach 180 to 200 degrees. But the average cabin temperature would be around 116.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think in, like from the perspective of what is the reasonable extremes of what you could put your gear through, and uh, like for instance, that's one of the things that the temple board based the pedal plates. The criticism is that they're fine until they get into a hot trunk, and they kind of just get goopy and the pedals slide off.
Ooh.
And that's why a lot of people I know and a lot of people I don't know have opted to go for dual lock or Velcro on a temple board, even though it sort of defeats the purpose of the original design with the plates and the grid.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the plan is I'm going to stress test it and try and show like this is what you can expect to put this topper through. Um, I mean, I've done some of my own testing on this obviously before I ever sent this out. It's not like I'm like, is this gonna work? Okay, I already know that myself, but I want to get that on camera. I want to be able to share that. And yeah, that'll be a fun project to work on.
Yeah.
So
That could be fun.
that's
Are you
my
gonna? You should try operating it with like golf cleats
mm,
or track cleats. Those are the really, really like pointy ones, right? Hockey
that would
skates.
mean getting track cleats, and I don't have any reason to have those right now. Uh,
I bet that one of us somewhere knows somebody with track cleats.
I think the plan is heat and water are the things that I'm after right now.
I think
Uh,
ice skates would be really funny though.
I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill a cookie sheet up with like a thin layer of water and just flip the pedal over face down into it and let the topper soak in water after it's been applied, and just to
Uh-huh.
show like how little it's impacted because all the materials are waterproof.
Well, there's skateboardy stuff, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
but I mean it's something that I want to show. Be like, hey, like this isn't going to be an issue. One of the other things I'm thinking about doing is getting a UV light and just kind of throwing it in a box with a UV light under some. I don't know how much I can do there, but like try and force it to fade quickly and
Yeah.
like, hey, this is going to simulate. I haven't done the math on this. So I'm definitely spitballing here, but what I'd love to be able to do is like, hey, I'm going to simulate what would happen if you left it outside in the sun for a month,
Hmm.
and because it's also UV resistant. I, so yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, there. I've been selling these for coming up on 2 years since I officially started selling these now, and so I'm still in contact with several of the original customers. One of them being Scott Hamilton, and he gigs on a regular basis, and his is still in perfect condition.
Oh, all right. Well, I also gigged on a regular basis, and mine was also in stellar condition.
Yep, that is true.
For the record,
For
and
that record.
people would always laugh when they saw it because it's cute.
um, yeah. So I had that, and then last night I went live with RJ Smith on Teletalks. So there is a 1 hour Instagram live of us chit chatting. It was fun.
That's always fun, hanging with folk.
Yeah, need more
Yeah.
of that these days, even if virtually.
Yeah, you take what you can get.
I'll take it. He's a nice guy. I enjoyed it. It was a good time. So go check
Yeah.
out his channel. Give him a follow if you haven't already. So what's new with you? What's crack-a-lackin'?
Oh gosh. Other than the smoke just getting to me, I've been working on some writing assignments, been filming some demos, been doing that kind of thing. But been kind of working with my band Sunday Crush. We're releasing a record later this year. I think we've finally set the release date, but I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it yet. But just kind of working with the
Intrigued.
band. Eh, it's fine. It doesn't matter. But just kind of working with the band to do some things that like I had done so long ago and just trying to figure out what has changed really. So the big thing was getting the members of my band who wrote on the record, because I joined the band after the record was already in the can.
Yep.
Getting them set up on performing rights organizations, um, PROs, which I'm on CSAC, and it's really apparently much harder even now to get on CSAC than it was when I did. So getting them set up on BMI or ASCAP, explaining to them the writer's portion versus the publisher's portion, how to divide songs up in those platforms, what they need to do legally, what a stage name is versus a band name. Gosh, just a lot of stuff like that. So I finally picked up an updated version of All You Need to Know About the Music Business by Donald Passman. They just released a 10th edition last year. So I've just been kind of flipping through that a bit too. Just to see what's like there's so much in there that's changed since I was in college. I mean, I was in college 2007 through 2011 studying music business. And so I think we were maybe on like the 6th edition of All You Need to Know About the Music Business back then.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, things like streaming did not really exist. I think that it was my freshman year that like Hulu kind of started being a thing, and Spotify was way far in the future, and I think it was just kind of like iTunes, and then P2P and B2B. Um, kind of stuff taking over the music industry. So that's just a whole realm that I haven't had to deal with really in so long. So uh, they'd be like asking me questions. I'd be like, you know what? I feel like maybe I need to just refresh and not give y'all bad advice. So I really recommend that book if you are new, because just so many questions I see on musicians forums and stuff like that. It's a lot of stuff that can really, really be cleared up if you pick up this book. A lot of it won't be applicable for folks really before like you're signed with a label uh or have a lot of music to release. Like but it is still things that you need to understand and know. Things like, no, you don't need to register a copyright to have a copyright, but if you don't register your copyright, you can't sue really for infringement until you register it, and you get extra protections.
Right.
Things like you can sue for damages. So stuff like that. Like a lot of questions I see just constantly, like, do I need a PRO and this other thing? I'm like, yeah, yeah, you need both. So really, just like um, a lot of questions that just anybody has, kind of trying to figure out, navigate. the world of the music business, you got to start with this book. It is still like, I think the best of the books um about the music business. Uh and I feel like he really does try to write in a way that doesn't feel like jargon, you know.
Sure.
Yeah. But for gear, I mean, I have some things that haven't really been like announced yet, so I can't really talk about them. Um Looking around, like I just have some surprise gifts for folks. I don't really want to talk about them. Oh, but I did with my band Sunday Crush on Wednesday. We went live on our record label's Twitch stream. It's Donut Sounds.
Uh-huh.
And so my singer, I told you she got, I think I mentioned this, that she got a big old pedal board for free. So our
What?
label president JR and
Wait,
I,
I think I missed that.
oh, well, she was grabbing, I think, a keyboard or something on the Gear Swap page. And when she went to pick it up, the person said, "Do you want this really big pedal board? It's like the big pedal train classic."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And she's like, "Well, I literally only have two pedals." So I've loaned her a bunch of pedals, and our label president JR also loaned her a bunch of pedals. And she and Isaac and I have been going live on Twitch and just kind of playing with signal chains, different types of effects, getting her vibe on them, seeing what she likes and what she doesn't like. Maybe build her a little board someday. So that's something we are doing. Also, I think we're pretty like this coming week. So if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, the 22nd, it'll be on the 23rd. We'll go live on the Donut Sounds stream at 7 p.m. Pacific time.
Rad, rad.
It'll be a fun one. I'm going to bring some other things that she hasn't seen yet. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I got on the what's new. Um like gosh, I just haven't felt like doing a ton because of the smoke, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think it's kind of good to recharge, just watch some watch some TV and not exert yourself too much. Um, but just thinking about a lot of things, a lot in the pipeline that I just don't feel like I should be announcing right now, like things that you know about.
Yeah. Yeah, I know how that goes.
I'm gonna wait till they put the graphics together for that, and then I'll start talking about it.
Hmm.
Ooh, mysteries. Oh,
Intrigue.
mysterious, intriguing.
Speaking of mysteriousness and intrigue, we had a massive pedal launch day on Thursday with two major companies.
Oh shoot, you're right. Oh, but can we thank our sponsors before we get into the topic?
Yeah, it's
Or
fine.
is that not really the topic? We kind of have a dual topic, don't we?
Sure.
All right.
Either way is fine with me.
All right. Well,
I'm excited to talk about all of the above.
well, the first sponsor really kind of ties into everything you need to know about the music business, because a lot of questions tend to arise when people first start putting their music up on the internet. DistroKid makes it so easy to put your music up online, and it's also really, really fast. Like I uploaded some music, and it was in a bunch of the stores. I think Apple Music like the same day, or if not the next day. And it just was so fast and easy, and it's only like $20 a year. And if you use our affiliate link in the show notes, you get 7% off your first year with DistroKid. But they have a lot of cool stats. I was looking through it the other day, and like you can obviously get verified on Spotify. And when you're verified, and once you like connect it with Spotify, you can see like how much your music got streamed the last over the course of the past year, 60 days, 7 days, like before you even see like the reporting. And you can see it like on a day-to-day breakdown. Like on September 10th, I got 30 streams on Spotify, which is really cool. Um and normally you either have to log into Spotify and I don't even think Spotify's dashboard is that cool or good. And also, they have this for iTunes and Amazon and Apple Music as well. But normally, you have to wait until your like quarterly statements to see how many streams you got on Spotify. And obviously, quarterly, so it can be like 3 months before you see any like real indication, hard numbers on your streams. And from your streams, you can kind of extrapolate like how much money you're going to get, ballpark it. um 0.3 cents per stream, so that's $0.003, $0 $0.003. It's really, I'm a fan. I think this is really slick, and uh it makes it really easy. And also, they have that teams feature where if you write a song with other people, you can do like automatic revenue shares, which I think is really cool.
That's actually super cool. That makes collab. That means you don't have to worry about like, hey, I'm going to collab with this person. I really hope they actually pay me the appropriate
Yeah.
royalties.
Yeah, no, that's a real concern for folks. And
Oh
typically you
yeah,
have to do like, if you work with like your record label, you have to do like quarterly audits to see like, okay, what were my sales, what were my streams, what is my portion of that revenue. So a traditional label, basically all that funnels to the label, then funnels out to you minus, whatever they take.
right.
So if you're self-releasing, you get all of that. But if you work with somebody and they're like, we co-wrote this song, we each agreed to the split, where's my money? Like, then you don't have to screw around with like doing the math and sending someone you know, their money via the correct channels or whatever. It just automates it, and that's neat. I like that a lot.
I'm
But that's
definitely a
DistroKid.
fan.
That's DistroKid again. Sign up via our affiliate link in the show notes, and we get a portion of that back, and you get to save 7% on your first year. It's a very easy way to support the show and get your music into the world.
And
Two
to save
birds.
money, which that's a
Yeah.
perk.
That's
Gotta
like
say,
three birds, one stone.
those poor birds.
Yeah. Well, what if they were crows? How would you feel if they were crows?
Frightened as hell. Because have you
Don't,
heard stories of what
don't.
happens when people kill crows?
Yes, they hold grudges and they pass grudges on for generations.
They are the mafia of the bird kingdom.
They are. I wouldn't want to piss off a magpie either. I've seen videos of magpies like dive bombing people who piss them off for like miles. I'm like, they are the killer bees of the aviary world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a pigeon story about that. But anyways,
Oof,
our
what about our second sponsor?
our second sponsor, last but not least, Earthquaker Devices. As listeners of the show know, that's definitely from day one of this show has been my favorite pedal company. I find their stuff to be inspiring. It's none of it. Everything's got like, it's so good. It's like they've got this Midas touch, but instead of like everything they touch that turns to gold, it's like everything they touch turns into this psychedelic, non-standard kind of rad gold that really makes you want to step outside of the box and innovate and create and not just fit into the mold of the sounds that other people gone before us have created. And I just think the whole e- every time they release something, I can count on it being usable but different and unique. And I think that that's a really important quality to have in a pedal company.
like
Great
the Afterneath, V3.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Their newest release.
it's a great example of just how they take it to a different level of like, hey, this is still incredibly usable, but you can take it places as well that
Yeah.
your average verb pedal isn't going to do.
I feel like
And
that's so essential for pedals, especially like when there's so many options. I really like I get so bored if a pedal doesn't push it to the limits. And the Afterneath, like It's a spooky kind of, would you say it's like an echo verb? It's
Yeah,
like,
no, it's
yeah.
like a cave.
Yeah. So it's just so spooky. Like it is the sound of like being haunted if you really want it to be that way. And I think it was so cool that they took user feedback on selecting different drag modes
Mm-hmm.
because that's just something that like that I can't imagine that was like the easiest thing in the world to do, but I don't really know. Um and it just really makes it so that you can mold that pedal exactly the way that you want it. And I just have the most respect for Earthquaker devices. I think they're such a great pedal company.
Oh, absolutely. So
Yeah.
go check them out. Give them some love, and tell them I said hi. Hi, guys.
Hi. Remember us?
Hi.
Hi.
That was honestly one of my highlights from NAMM was the Earthquaker party,
Mm.
and I would have stayed
Yeah.
later if I had known that this year was cut in front of us.
I know, man. Like I would have gone because I was very close to going. I thought I was going to pick up some work, like some music work that
Yep.
weekend, and it didn't happen. I was like, I was like checking last minute flights into Anaheim. Mm.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was a great night. It was a lot of fun. Legends. I got to talk and stand next to legends, and it was fun. It was a good
The
time.
shoulders of giants.
Indeed. I was like, oh hi, I've been watching your videos my entire life.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Andy. Um,
Hi.
yeah.
Andy Martin?
Yeah, no, I think I talked about this on the episode that I released to kind of recap my experience at NAM. But yeah, I was just like, I was sitting in a circle of folks. I think it was with like Sean Pierce Johnson and John Ross and a couple of other folks. And suddenly, like, I turn and like literally standing right next to me is Andy Martin. He's like, "Hey, what's up, everybody?" Like, oh, oh, wait, this is real. Hi, my name's
Nice.
Andrew. Nice to meet you.
Does he listen to the podcast?
I didn't want to talk shop with him.
Mhm.
We were just hanging out and being people
Smart.
and having a good
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Always smart. Very
Beer in
good. Very good
hand
he is.
and plenty of pizza down the gullet and pasta because it was Italian food that night. It's good
Oof,
times.
that sounds so good. That sounds so good.
You know what
I
else
am.
sounds good?
Yeah. What?
Uh, at least as far as I can tell, what sounds good is the two pedals that got released this week.
Ooh. Well, there were three, but we're only going to talk about two of
Yeah,
them.
there's two that I care about. Just
I care about all three.
I, it's not that I have anything against the third one. It just doesn't do anything for me. I don't know. I'm
I don't know.
incredibly
That was my favorite of the reverb algorithms from the H9. So I get it.
yeah. I
I
mean
love.
and that's fine. I don't know. I'm not trying to be rude, but just like and if I'm gonna sit here and talk about something, I'm just gonna talk about
Talk about the
what
night sky. Do
I'm
it.
gonna
Do
talk
it.
about the
Do
night
it.
sky. And we're gonna talk about the OC5.
I haven't even watched a single video for the night sky, to be honest.
There's the like 45-minute demo from Strymon
Yeah,
demo
that
slash
wasn't.
announcement.
I haven't had time to watch it. I really want. I just need to say like I want to watch it. I will after this, but I just haven't had time.
Yeah, so I watched the whole thing while I was getting some work done at my desk. And then I watched the Andy demo. And then there's another demo, and I can't remember the artist's name. It was someone I hadn't seen before. And those are
Oh.
the couple of demos that were up Thursday night. So sat down, watched all of those, and gotta say, I wasn't planning on selling anything to try and buy one. I was like, yeah, I'll just maybe if I get some birthday money or on it. I'm like, nope, I need this now. I need to order it before it disappears and before they get back ordered and
All right, so tell me about it.
where to begin? So it's got three different reverb modes. It's got modulation with all kinds of modulation modes as well. It's got a
What are the
glimmer
reverb modes? How many reverb modes did you say? I'm sorry, I was sneezing.
three. So it
Three.
was
The shimmer
diffuse, I think.
modulated.
No. So the shimmer is a
No.
separate control. You can dial into all three. I'm gonna pull
Oh.
up a photo here. Yeah, no, the shimmer is entirely independent. as well as the Glimmer. Um,
I'm sorry, a glimmer?
the Glimmer. Yes, we'll get there. I'm just gonna pull
Okay.
this up. Strymon Night Sky. There, let's just say there's so much that's packed into the sucker. It's
Working on my night sky.
it's pretty wild. All right, so we've got the Glimmer, which is a button push for a high and low that's built into the pitch shifting side of things. There's also uh, there's just so much here. Okay, so the pitch shifting, you can choose what interval you want to pitch shift to. You
Mhm.
can decide whether or not you want the shimmer to happen on the input or the regen. So the interval is going to change the reverb itself, and then the shimmer is also impacted by that. Um, Glimmer, blanking a little bit on what Glimmer was. I want to say it was the low end of things. I'm trying to pull that up here. Glimmer. All right. Glimmer creates that's what it is, an enhanced harmonic spectrum using an optimally tuned dynamic resonant network. So it's
That's
adding
what?
like that.
Those are certainly words. No, it's a really exciting pedal.
It's kind of like a tube amp when it gives you that resonant, um, the harmonic resonant kind of just fills out the sound and makes it sound alive. They were
Mm-hmm.
showing the difference between the two. I'm like, oh, and what it really reminded me of actually is a feature that I've in another reverb that Earthquaker devices afterneath, not afterneath, levitation. I had that verb for a couple of years. Um, I think I sold it about 2 years ago now. Honestly, I missed the heck out of it. I really shouldn't have sold it, but the way that it sounded with the how it filled out kind of the upper levels with that harmonic texture really reminded me of the levitation verb. So I'm like, oh, well, that's a feature that I really missed in a pedal I used to have. That would be super cool to
Yeah.
have again. The three reverb textures, so they sound like different algorithms altogether. They've just got listed as texture is sparse, dense, and diffuse, which they all sounded great. But I really liked diffuse. Um,
I like a diffused reverb. I've played with a few things that are that, and I it's nice.
um, yeah, it's got a good gravy. There's just so much. I'm admittedly feeling slightly overwhelmed just looking at this, but like in the good kind of way. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pots on here, and then a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, wait, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 buttons, not including the foot switches. So there's three of. So there's a
Uh-huh.
lot going on here. Um,
It's like a
uh,
Volante. Volante?
Volante,
Volante? It's
I
like
imagine.
that, but for reverb, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's the same size enclosure. There's so much going on here. It does have an overdrive built into it as well, which is like what? You can
I'm
set
sorry,
it.
what?
Yeah, so it's got like
Can you
a
put the overdrive after the reverb?
yeah. So you, the overdrive is just you can select it for pre or post or off. It's also got a filter, so low cut, high cut, and you can have that applied to the reverb itself, or just as a low pass filter. And then it's got a sequencer. If this thing wasn't already well enough, it's got a freaking sequencer that you can program in with specific notes on a scale.
Mm-hmm.
And watching what they're able to do with that in the demos made me go, this is that extra sauce that's taking me to the next level of yeah, I could put this on my board and I could very happily sit down for the several nights. Like I could just woodshed it for a weekend or for a month
Yeah.
or maybe 6 months and still just be like, yeah, dog, this is so much to explore.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just kind of want to put on the headphones and space out. So, anyways, I did a terrible job explaining that, and I'm not sure anyone wanted to hear me explain that. But the point is, I am excited. Uh, I wasn't planning on selling anything. I'm now finding myself selling off a handful of things to try and come up with the money for it. because this is the sort of thing that I think I want to explore next, and I'm hyped for it.
Mm-hmm.
The other one, do you want to talk about?
Yeah, so Boss released a new version of their octave pedal. I think the first one ever was the OC2, and that was really one of my first pedals was an OC3, but they just released the OC5.
Yep. They did.
And man, that video they posted on Instagram about it, freaking killer.
You know, the funny thing is, I was literally talking with someone on Thursday, and before I'd even seen the announcement about the OC5, I was talking to someone saying like, maybe I'm going to sell a couple of things and I'm going to start looking for a vintage OC2, just to throw in the bass rig, and
Mm-hmm.
figured that'd be fine. But I found myself like wanting a different flavor of octave effects and to have some fun with that. And I saw
Yeah,
that.
so the OC2 just has three controls. It has, volume or direct level, an octave 2 and an octave 1. The OC3 had, I think, 2 or 3 modes, and the OC5 has the vintage mode, the classic OG, and then a poly mode so you can play chords. The tracking seems way improved. It has direct level, 1 octave up, 1 octave down, and 2 octaves down.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do love playing with an octave pedal. I think it really gives that depth to your sound. I love solos high up on the neck that use an octave pedal just to get that lower sound. Prince pretty famously used octave pedals. I think mostly on the Purple Rain tour, or starting with Purple Rain, because you can hear it in When Doves Cry and the solo for Let's Go Crazy. So the intro for When Doves Cry and the solo for that utilizes an octave pedal to get the OC2 to get the octave down, and it just sounds so big and gnarly, and uh and it looks so handsome. The OC5 does.
It does. I really like the mono and the poly switch.
Yeah.
I think that's really slick. And
The OC2 had I think the classic mono, a poly, and I might be wrong, but I feel like one of the settings was like adding a distortion to the octave, which is mostly how I use that particular pedal. But I don't remember.
no,
No,
OC3 was literally just a three knobber, or OC2.
well, no,
OC2 is oct.
I'm talking about the OC3.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The
So it does.
OC3 has
So
poly,
yep,
octave, and drive. So it
yep,
had and how I used it, but it didn't. I felt like that did not always play super well with other drive pedals.
sure, yeah. Well, so I think the huge difference between the two is that I'm seeing right now that's got me really hyped is in terms of what this could do for solo artists, buskers, churches who have limited volunteers who are able to play on a Sunday morning, um, is a huge improvement to what they had before, which is um, in their poly mode on the OC3, you could select the range of how much of the polyphonic you wanted to cover, and you could set it to just get just the lower notes, and
Mm-hmm.
you could do a direct out, and then your effect output you could send to a bass amp, but it was still getting like two or three of your lower notes on a guitar. Um, so it wasn't like super crisp. But if you needed
Yeah,
like a little bit of rumble at the low end, you could dial that in if your bass player called out for a Sunday morning or whatever. If you just needed to have that extra oomph as a solo player and didn't want to play to tracks, I mean that's a way to
yeah,
do it. But the OC5, they've got it set to where it'll pull the lowest note individually and only send that,
interesting.
which that's pretty cool. So if I'm just thinking about this from the use case of like busking or a church, Sunday morning church, or like a solo like looper artist or something, like the ability to have like just literally the bass note, and you could send that out to like a separate bass board or in just a bass DI or bass amp, or it just have that it sounds like you're playing multiple instruments at once. And I actually think that's pretty rad.
Yeah. I mean, that's one
Yeah.
of the beauties of having um an octave pedal in general. And like I like the big low sounds. I think that you need to have that low end. Like I said, like I think it just fills out a solo so nicely. You can see applications for buskers and churches. Obviously, it's a really versatile, neat pedal.
Yep. Well,
Yes.
enough of me gassing super hardcore. Because I could talk about gear for a long time here. Just
Yeah.
it was one of those weeks from like I want all the things.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
there's one.
for the record, Boss had an ad that really passed the gear Bechdel test.
Oh, really?
That's a new thing that Hilary Jones from the Midriff podcast has pioneered, and something that Earthquaker Devices published to their blog.
Do tell more. Words. Yes. I want words on this.
Let me just pull up the blog. Yeah, but Hillary again, Midriff podcast. I was on that podcast. It was really fun. But the music gear Bechdel test. But do you know, firstly, what the Bechdel test is traditionally?
A measure of the representation of women in fiction.
Vaguely, yeah. So mostly it's used in movies, and it's not like a perfect thing. It just actually, I think a comic book artist and writer Alison Bechdel came up with it in 1985. It became kind of popular in the I'm just reading from Hillary's article in the
Sure.
90s. But in order to pass the test, uh, a movie must have two women who are named. These two women must talk to each other about something other than a man. And you would be shocked at how few movies pass that. She says that since the early 2000s, the number of films that pass that test have hovered around 55%. And just again, that's a very low bar. It doesn't account for plotline quality or anything else. I mean, it could
Right.
mean that the women are portrayed in highly stereotypical ways. It's just like it's a very low bar. It's like essentially the lowest bar imaginable. It is really kind of a bummer that only 55% of movies pass it. But I digress. So Hillary took the Bechdel test and has pivoted it to a version that kind of is a low to medium bar on how women are portrayed in gear advertisements. You know, traditionally women in gear ads have just been essentially highly sexualized guitar stands a lot of the time.
Uh-huh.
So, if and that's like the better of the case scenarios. But so there are actually I think seven um points in this Bechdel test for gear ads. One, there is a woman.
It's a good
Two,
start.
she is presented as a capable musician. Three, if she is presented with an instrument that has a traditionally feminine aesthetic, like pink with flowers, there is a companion ad featuring a woman with an instrument that is not traditionally feminine in aesthetic. Four, if she is presented sexually as it is on her own terms, there is a companion ad, and there's a companion ad featuring a woman who is not presented sexually. Five, if she is a woman of color, she is not presented using racial stereotypes. Six, if she is a trans woman, her identity and pronouns are respected. Seven, all sexual or offensive social media comments about her are promptly and appropriately addressed or screenshotted and deleted. And that's it. It shouldn't be that hard. It's like really, it is essentially get a woman in an ad who's a musician and let her pick the guitar that she wants to have in the ad. Like that really is kind of the gist of it.
That sounds pretty doable.
It is doable, and the Boss OC5 ad did do that. I just can't find it right now. Instagram Boss Europe.
You
I
know,
forget who
it's
exactly. Do you remember who was in that?
no, I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it's just listening to you like kind of rattle those off. I'm just thinking like, is that not already being done?
No,
Uh,
not really.
and that just kind of struck me just a little bit. I don't know.
We've kind of talked about this before, but a lot of gear ads and demos don't seem to feature women at all.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've definitely noticed that they don't. So I guess that where I'm looking at this is like I imagine that if number one, then the
Sophie
rest.
Burrell, sorry. Sophie Burrell. Yeah, if number one, then the rest. I think you're right about that.
Um, I think we've definitely are have gotten a lot better about that as an industry. I mean, looking back at how things were before, my dad sent me a bunch of those guitar magazines from the '90s,
Yeah,
and
oh
for the
my
most part, it hasn't been
god.
super wild flipping through them. But there's been a couple of things I'm like, all right, but they're also entirely male dominated. So I mean, the if one then the rest statement, I mean, that doesn't really come to play if there isn't number one, which is there is a woman.
Yeah, that's true. And you should have women. Fender obviously kills it in this regard. Earthquaker Devices kills it.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I can think of recent launches that have not at all. I feel like
Yep.
Strymon often does an okay job. I remember when Iridium came out, they had Vanessa Wheeler in a bunch of those spots, which was really
Hmm.
cool to see. Um, yeah, but Boss went all out with an ad like this really stellar video with Sophie Burrell and the OC5, and damn if it doesn't pass this. It did a really good job.
Yeah. Totally. I can dig that.
It's just something to think about. And if you can look at these like and be like, well, that should be easy, you should then extrapolate yourself like your thought and be like, well, then why isn't everybody doing this? And they should
Right.
be. It's because it's easy.
Yeah. I mean, I this seems pretty cut and dry. I mean,
Yeah.
it. I don't see. Okay. Well, I don't know. So number two is seeing that someone is presented as a capable musician. I think looking outside of the music industry, like whenever I see like a guitar, like a woman holding a guitar in an ad, whether it be for a clothing ad or a lifestyle or like whatever it is, I definitely find myself going, okay, is she going to fret a chord or is she just going to do the thing where she kind of holds all of her fingers evenly spaced at the fifth fret? And I kind of just get the sense like, oh, well, they clearly just hired a model to do that. But outside of the music industry, that's not really an issue because it's more about the imagery and not about like, hey, we brought a musician on.
Yeah.
But like in the music industry, like where we're selling this kind of stuff, I feel like it'd be pandering not to have someone as a capable musician, especially since there's so many women that are absolutely killing it in the industry right now.
Yeah, I mean, well, previously in ads, most of the women were either highly sexualized, like I said, sexy living guitar stand kind of thing, or were like presented as fawning over a guy with a guitar, or like in bed with a guy with a guitar.
Right.
And that was really essentially it. And when you look at those guitar magazines with women, I think that for 35 years, Chrissy Hynde was the only woman ever on a cover of Guitar World. 35 years. 35. That's so
That's
many
a lot of
years,
years.
man. That's so many years. And you can just like kind of like Lita Ford was never on the cover of a Guitar World in those 35 years.
If number one, then the rest. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of how the guitar world has treated this topic in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It just, I was in featured in an article this weekend on the Bandcamp blog, and I think the quote that I was actually kind of surprised that they picked was, "It was weird to me how people were so surprised by the Fender study that said half of new guitars are bought by women because I felt like half the girls I went to high school with had a guitar in their room."
sure.
Actually, I'm not even sure that's what I said. It was so long ago that I gave that interview, I might have said half the guitarists I knew were girls, but I yeah. I don't remember anything from that interview. It's so weird how how press works sometimes. Like
Yeah.
I think I had turned in an article for a guitar magazine uh by the new year, so last December, and it still hasn't come out.
Yeah, sure. I mean, editorial calendars and all that. I mean, I suppose that's just kind of how business works.
Yeah, sometimes it is. Sometimes things get published the next day. Sometimes they get published before you give them permission to publish your article, and sometimes they take a year to come out. Like it's just it happens. And we haven't even gotten to like what we actually wanted to talk about this episode.
No, no, no. The funny thing is, I knew when we were talking about like, hey, what do we want to talk about this week? I was like, there was definitely something that I really, really, really wanted to talk about, and I'm blanking so hard while
Oh,
the
it was
caffeine kick.
this?
Yep,
All right.
100.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I just pulled it up in my notes on my phone, like in the middle of the episode. I'm like, oh, that's what I wanted to talk about, and I was trying to figure out how to transition to this, and then you brought it up, like, yes,
Actually, that was a really good and easy and natural transition. And that's the only reason I brought it up was because I was like, oh, yeah, and they did this.
for sure. Yeah, no, I think this is super rad. I I want to personally thank Hilary for putting this together. This is, you know what I think this is actually really, really neat for, and this might sound a little strange, so bear with me for a second. When I hear people say, like when people push back against um, calls for diversity and inclusion, sometimes what I hear is like, well, if like if we don't sexualize women, then or, it it always seems to get flipped on its head, and people try to call into the definition of like, or call into question like, what's the definition of what you're after? You guys just, you want inclusion, but you don't really know what that means. And these are kind of some of the things that I hear in a more conservative environment surrounding the representation of women and minorities. Is kind of this
Mm-hmm.
like, you don't really know what you want, and I'm looking at this going like, actually, we do.
Yeah, this is what we want. We want to, if we're going to be portrayed sexually, we want it to be on our terms because it's a very different thing for women to own their own sexuality and autonomy versus kind of being pressured into doing it or doing it when it's not really how you want to do things. I think a
Right.
good example of that is like the Rolling Stones, the Rolling Stone cover with the Go-Go's, the first one where Annie Leibovitz photographed them in underwear, and it wasn't sexy underwear, and that's why they agreed to do it because it was like they felt like it was a play on that trope of women in their underwear. It's just like normal Hanes kind of undies and
Sure.
bras. And then the headline came out with it, and the headline was the Go-Go's put out. Like that's taking that autonomy away from them because you're
Totally.
then putting something else onto it. Like really, really gross and bad. But that's just one example of that happening. And if a woman wants to, feel sexy and wear what she wants on a cover or in an ad, like it needs to be her decision. It can't be um you know it can't be something that uh that they're asked to do or pressured to do or forced to do in any kind of way. Um it just has to they have to maintain that autonomy, and that's one of the reasons that I got so mad when a pedal builders moderators for their group started accusing me of self-objectifying with no remorse. Like, what is not a thing? There's like I can't objectify myself. I can't treat myself like an object, and if I could, if I did, that's kind of indicative of different psychological things happening. But no, I can't treat myself like an object really, and that's actually honestly not what I was doing when with that thing that they accused me of doing. Like
Right. Right.
I was literally having a conversation about my body with another adult, and not
Yep.
even in a highly sexualized way, and they accused me
Right.
of self-objectifying with no remorse. And
Sure.
they're right about the no remorse part.
I and I agree with you. I just I think this, to say it in a very condescending manner, I feel like I could enter a conversation like with someone complaining about this kind of stuff, and I could be like, "Let me put this into words you can understand."
Yeah.
And not that I would actually want to be overly condescending. I try not to be, with people I disagree with, but um,
Well, sometimes it's just like, I don't know. It's so weird that sometimes people perceive language as being worse than, bad behavior. And that's always really frustrating. Like that it feels like a bit of a double standard, you
what
know.
your complaint is clearly invalidated because you raised your voice for half a second.
Or you said the word, or you said a naughty word.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's garbage, but I think
Yeah.
having 7 very clear points, because I feel like you could punch this. This is, well, this is an algorithm. It's written out in a very readable format, but this is essentially, this is code. This is how computers work. I mean, this is so purely logically broken down that
Yeah.
I don't think that this should be hard to understand. I think this is a really great format to communicate this sort of stuff with, and I think this gives a level. This is a very empowering tool that people, when they're sorting out photography for the cover of a magazine, or how they want their music video to be filmed, and all of that. Like having this sort of tool in the pocket, I think is a really
Yeah.
helpful thing to help vocalize what everyone's kind of thinking in their heads, and to
Yeah.
make that communication painfully clear for someone who would otherwise take advantage of the artist in question.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's all about agency in the end. It's all about agency.
Yeah. So I'm a huge fan.
So,
I like that.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
for sure. So if the Midriff podcast is listening to this, huge thank you. You
Thanks,
guys are rad.
Hillary.
And
Yes.
to
Everyone
everybody
should go
listening,
subscribe to them.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Go subscribe, go listen, go donate, go support them. They deserve it 100%.
Yes. Go Hillary.
So
Listen to my episode. That was a good one. That was fun.
well, good times. I think that's I, I
That's
think I
fine.
think
I don't
that
think
that
we
was
need
a
to
good
talk.
episode.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about the other thing really, but I just want to say, like, so there had been just really quickly a TLDR on it. People had been concerned about Facebook saying that they were going to start enforcing a policy
Hmm.
about live streaming music experiences. And since a lot of musicians right now are really relying on live streaming as their only like live performance, and then you do that for virtual tipping like every once in a while, and so a lot of artists were concerned that what Facebook was saying was that they couldn't do live streams anymore. But Facebook did come out and clarify that what they were talking about was like live DJ sets with other people's music. It wasn't like if you own the rights to your music, you can do whatever you want with them. If you're playing live music covers or originals, that's fine. So just like, and I would like to implore people that next time they see something that seems really outrageous or they don't understand it. A lot of times people tend to read like announcements in terms of services, and to everyone who got concerned, to their credit, it was a very vague statement that Facebook made initially, and they did clarify it. So I think it's good to put pressure on vague statements to demand clarification, but also to step back. Panicking's not really going to help anything. And if it seems like that's not right, like if it doesn't really make any sense, um, then maybe just ask for that clarification directly from Facebook versus panicking about it, because I don't think a lot of the knee jerk stuff I don't think was super helpful. And still, it becomes really hard to stop spreading that knee jerk stuff once something gets clarified. Like there are still people who don't realize that Facebook clarified that statement. So
Well,
just, yeah.
So
spread the clarification as much as you spread the confusion. That's all I ask in for everything.
sure, I think I was reading through some more literature on it, and I was getting a crack out of it because Facebook pretty much said we already said a whole lot about this back in May. None of
Yeah.
this is new information.
It rarely is, to be honest.
It's pretty much the same thing, the same deal as it is for YouTube.
Mhm.
So like I get it.
Yeah, I mean, and for the record, like if you try to upload a song with a obviously pre-recorded um audio, Facebook will immediately pull it and then just ask you to confirm. They will mute the video and then they
Yeah.
will
Well,
ask you to
Facebook and
confirm
Instagram's
that you
always
aren't.
done that,
Yeah, they literally have
or
always
not
done that
always, but it's
as
happened
for
to.
years. It
Well, it
happens to
happened.
me all the time for my own stuff.
Oh, it was funny. So one of the videos I put together, um, the first year we are doing podcasting, where we smashed that mug,
Yeah.
uh, it got flagged for being part of a Simpsons episode. And it wasn't, there's literally nothing Simpsons in it, but they said, "Oh, this is from Simpsons season 9, episode 15, or like whatever it was," and saying, "Yeah, we're gonna pull this." And I had to appeal and get someone to actually sit down and watch
Yeah.
my short 1 minute video
And then
and be
it
like,
was
"Oh,
back up like within 3 hours or something, right?
yeah, yeah." But
Yeah.
I got a huge. It was
That's
really
actually really
funny,
funny. Yeah, that's funny.
but at the same time, like, guys, like, chill.
Yeah.
uh,
Simpsons, really? Nah. That's funny. No, I've gotten that when we've gotten permission to use things. And I think that in DistroKid, let me look at something really quickly. One of the cool things I am pretty sure you can do in DistroKid is you can you I'm pretty sure that you can um give people like permission to use your music. Uh God, that sounds, let me see. YouTube allow list. That's something that they have. So if someone uses your song in a YouTube video and it automatically gets pulled because it's someone else's song, you can add them to your YouTube allow list so that they can still get monetized for that. Like I think we had an episode of the podcast where you could hear the Pineapple Pen song in the background and it said you either need to mute that or you're not going to get monetized. So there are a lot of cases with fair use where somebody can play a clip of your music um to do criticism about it,
mm-hmm.
and that can be like a review or it can be like there you could also do like an educational example, like if you want examples of the major chord going into the minor chord, you would play some examples of that and YouTube would automatically flag to not allow for monetization. Um, but you can either protest with YouTube, which will take forever, um, because they get a lot of those, or if that music's on DistroKid, they can add you to the YouTube allow list.
Yeah.
So you click on the YouTube allow list. It will show. It will when you opt into YouTube money from DistroKid, they automatically detect every video on YouTube that's using your music. They claim those videos on your behalf. They send the ad revenue to you instead of whoever uploaded the video, but you can allow them to use your video. Wait, I'm not entirely sure I'm using this. I'm thinking about this right.
We'll sort it out, and we'll get some
Yeah,
further
actually, you know
updates on
what?
it.
That's actually really interesting on the other way. Huh.
I think
Uh
things are not as they seem, and I think I got a good kick out of people freaking out over.
Okay, so I'm sorry, now I understand.
Okay,
So it gets claimed and then once it's claimed you can add it to the allow list. And
gotcha.
so that's why they're claiming it in the first place because you can't preemptively add someone to your allow list apparently.
Weird.
Weird, but I mean, makes sense. I would like to be able to like say this channel can always use my stuff, but I get it. It is what it is. I need
Well,
to dig back into that music business book.
I think this has been a good episode of the Get Offset podcast.
Yes. Please rate, review on iTunes. It really helps us. Subscribe on YouTube and in iTunes and on Spotify and etc. Check out getoffsetpodcast.com/shop for merch. You can support us on Patreon. Big ups to Jason Weiser for upping his Patreon pledge.
Heck yeah.
Thanks, Jason. And how else can people support us? Sign up to DistroKid using the link in the show notes.
Yep.
Buy stuff on reverb.com via the link in the show notes.
Like an Afterneath V3.
Yes, definitely get that. Anything? Did I miss anything?
Buy merch.
Yes.
I'm a fan of merch.
Merch is cool. You can pre-order the Sunday
yeah.
Crush record at Donut Sounds website.
By Fox Cairo Pedal Topper.
Yes, those things. Thanks for listening and thanks for understanding. Until next time, my name is Emily.
And my name is Andrew.
Goodbye.
Bye.